Sonny with a Chance, back with one of my favorite Disney Channel shows. After a first season of 21 episodes, we got to see Sonny go from small town girl in the South all the way to Hollywood, being part of this sketch comedy show with this really selfish co-star, Tawny Hart, who is just ridiculously egotistical, and how they navigate this sketch show, where there's like a bunch of really ridiculous sketches going on. It feels like iCarly and 30 Rock combined. Sketches were actually good, and all around, like, I don't know, I really love this show. I feel like it does such a good job at spreading positivity in kind of that Ted Lasso way, you know, like everybody loves that because he's like a coach with positivity, and Demi is definitely a ray of sunshine, which is probably why I like this whole like Sonny aesthetic, her name being Sonny. Everything feels like it coincides in a perfect way. The second season kind of starts us off with her swallowed by Hollywood, but hey, that's not for me to get into this early. So let's start talking about the second season of Sonny with a Chance and how it completely turned upside down by its second season. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny 2000, focusing on 2000s media, TV, and so much more. Yeah, Sonny with a Chance season 2 goes places you'll never want to go, and it's not in like a bad way. It's definitely really positive, with Sonny being the main force of positivity in the characters. But we have 2 back-to-back specials within just this first half of episodes. Most notably, this is the end of the series, given that they only have 25, 26 episodes in their second season, and you'll see what I don't like about it the most is that Sonny's character develops more of an interest in being a singer, and that bothers me because the comedy in this is so good, and the reason I related to Sonny so much is because she is able to be a really funny person and not have to sing. Like, that's her main talent, but now it just feels like, okay, you have to sing too. Oh, cool, Disney kids, yeah, real fair. So this second set of episodes is probably my favorite, though, because of how many musical numbers are incorporated. It just goes off the rails for this set of episodes in a good and bad way. So join me on the journey as we revisit Sonny with a Chance Season 2 and get ready for the end of the series coming up. Now, let's get into the episodes. So the Season 2 opener is called Walk a While in My Pants. And this episode is funny right off the bat because it's definitely parroting a lot of charity. Like, it's the whole vibe of seeming like you're doing good for somebody, but all of it's just propaganda. And I can't believe Sonny with a Chance even goes that far. It's kind of random. The Season 2 sketches are a lot more distinct. Like, for example, this cold open starts with Sicky Vicky, who was actually not in the first season. This is like one of her most iconic roles for Sonny Monroe, so it's actually interesting that we're seeing her for the first time. I feel like right off the bat, the sketches are actually funny, as opposed to just like kinda talking about being funny like from the first season. Like, this is a good concept. Tawny is essentially the main antagonist in this episode without even realizing it. So she's promoting these ultra skinny jeans.
Tawny Hart's Extreme Skinny Jeans, available online.
Which seem to be just like a normal pair of jeans that are just skinnier than average, but they're a big deal. They're trying to rope Nico and Grady into caring, which they really don't. Meanwhile, we get this whole charity event, which is a walkathon for books that Sonny Monroe is hosting. Of course, because she's the bright and sunshiny one who's just trying to do good with the world. And Chad Dillon Cooper is having his own charity, a walkathon against books, like against reading. And I don't even know how to unpack that, Chad Dillon Cooper.
How can you be against books?
That's easy. The more you read, the less you watch Mackenzie Falls.
But you know what? It's hilarious. Chad Dillon Cooper and Mackenzie Falls get such a great entrance into the second season with the wind blowing and some fancy music.
They always have to travel in a pack, like shiny wolves.
It's nice to introduce everybody once again, with Sonny's darker hair this time and new theme song. Also, the argument Sonny and Chad have against this whole book sale thing is just hilarious. So we finally see the So Random set in its complete entirety. Now we have like a bunch of doors, kind of like Monsters, Inc. style, making up a giant room. And honestly, it's very nostalgic, very bright with its colors, and it really adds a consistency to the series that I wish they thought of in the first season. Like, I don't know why they couldn't figure this out. As they're trying to rehearse this hula sketch, both Tawny and Sonny cannot stop getting over their preoccupied events, which is so funny that all these kids just have like charities going on and full-on fundraisers. Like, that's a lot of work to put on kids. So Tawny introduces her new skinny jeans to the cast of So Random.
These pants are so skinny,
which have a really hard time putting them on. It like almost makes their legs go numb, which is a constant joke throughout this episode. Kind of funny though.
Hold up! I have to de-wedge it. redistribute.
But it makes them look as hot as Mackenzie Falls, which I don't think So Random needs to worry about looking hot, but hey, it's Tawny's dream, it's gonna happen. It's like they're a way of combining the book walkathon and the skinny jeans promotion, so it's kind of like a win-win for all of them. It's so funny though, because when they finally see Mackenzie Falls, it turns out they all brought Tawny's jeans as well, which is kind of crazy to think about, and she doesn't even care about it. She's just so wrapped up in her own world. Meanwhile, it's finally time to get to the bookathon, and caught up in all this competition, Sonny and Tawny are like pushed to the limit because Tawny can't walk anymore. Turns out her jeans completely destroyed her legs, and Sonny also is worried the same thing's about to happen to her, so they need to get themselves to the emergency room. This all breaks out into this whole peaceful campaign against super skinny jeans, SPS for short.
You have SPS.
SPS! Not FPS!
SPS is skinny pants syndrome.
Like, these kids are even in the hospital when they're trying to deal with it. The doctor even takes it seriously, so it's just a bunch of nonsense taken on to reality in this world. Sonny doesn't realize until late that all the Mackenzie Falls people also have these skinny jeans on. So while they're watching them on Tween Weekly, which actually comes up a lot in this season, I like that, but all the kids at Mackenzie Falls just collapse onto the floor.
What is happening? SPS is happening.
Next thing you know, this hospital room is filled with all these teenagers because they wanted to wear these super skinny jeans. And I can't tell if this is a commentary on trends and how important they are, or just the dangers of putting on charity if you don't mean it. I don't know. I just can't imagine. It ends up in this surprisingly banger music number about wearing skinny jeans, and as if this is an entire epidemic that all of them have to get over. It feels like Disney's environmental change campaigns that they used to have on the channel, where like they'd all be singing about being a good friend or like moralistic stuff. It's the main cast all in their Wiggles colored outfits singing about trying to fix these pants. And of course they did a good thing by including Chad Dillon Cooper. I know it feels like kind of random that he's just joining the So Random kids even though he's like in the competing network group, but hey, I love Chad Dillon Cooper and he starts to become a lot more a part of the plot than he was before. It gives that like Nickelodeon versus Disney vibe where each of them bring something different to the table of their networks, and then also like kind of use it as a competitiveness against each other. Something I think is such a cool concept. The episode ends with Chad Dillon Cooper and Grady in the hospital, and the doctor prescribes him to read books, which he does not want to do. And that's a funny recurring gag. Like, I definitely didn't like reading at that age, and I thought it was so funny to start an anti-learning campaign. Like, what could that even be about? Point is, this is a really funny start to a second season premiere. That's when we got the next episode. It's called Sonny, Get Your Goat. So this one is really interesting. It starts with the Check It Out girls returning, like the popular girls from season 1 that are just kind of obnoxious when they're checking out grocery people. So Nico's in this one to make it barely unique from the other sketches. And Marshall tells them that in Glendovia, they really love the Check It Out girls, so they want to send them all the way to that country to perform. Which is kind of crazy because this entire episode is about a feud between Sonny and Tawny, which you'll see how it affects it. We don't know exactly why they're fighting, we're just revealed that they're supposed to work together and they're in an argument. I like that they end the cold open with them in a conflict right before they go to the theme song. It definitely keeps me interested. We get some classic Sonny and Tawny bad roommate energy as like they're just completely fighting, and to get Sonny to fight Tawny back is a lot of work because she's usually a pretty bright, bubbly person, so the fact that she's angry is even furthering the plot. So they hop in the limo and are about to go out to Europe, and Marshall's surprised when he's in the lunchroom and finds Sonny there. Yeah, it turns out she was pushed out of the vehicle and not going on the trip, so she's going alone. Of course, Marshall's concerned about this because they wanted the Check It Out girls, not the Check It Out girl. Since this is all part of a Glendovian exchange program, it turns out the studio gets a guy named Dinka, who is this guy with a fake mustache and a blazer?
This is Dinka.
Meet you please, nice.
That apparently has more game than Nico and Grady, hitting on the girls in the lunchroom as if he can do any better, because he's a nerd, you know, like, they're all nerds, and so when they see him actually score this girl's number, it's super funny. And since this guy's Glendovian, he of course recognizes the Checkout girls, so him and Demi get along really quickly, with them all singing together. While Tawny is getting comfortable in Glendovia, which is not super comfortable, it's like a third world country with not a lot of resources, and she's just put in this, I don't know, like ancient ancient home with a goat. It's just crazy how much over the top they get when they say they're going to other countries. Thank God this is a made-up one. Of course, Dinka gets to trash Tawny with Sonny, which is funny because clearly the cultural barriers have come a long way for those two. At first, we think Chad Dylan Cooper doesn't have anything to do with this until we see that he's on all the Glendovian TV channels promoting this goat milk, which is so funny.
Hi, I'm America's Chad Dylan Cooper. Do you ever wish your goat's horns were as white as my teeth? There's nothing I like better than a nice thick glass of Grandma Minka's old-timey potato juice. That's spectacular.
I like to think that they praise him too. Like, there must be something about American media that these guys love. Sonny and Tawny's relationship is still strained, with Dinka pretty much taking up his place as another check-it-out girl.
We're the friends who best with toots of worst. I'm checking out guy and I'm checking out for me. Check me out.
Which is so funny to see them getting along. I mean, they don't really do the sketch super well, so that's kind of a sad point. But yeah, meanwhile, Tawny is being attacked by a goat, and both of them get on the phone expecting one another to apologize. A constant with these two. It's a battle of pride and wit with both of them. They have a genuine moment of sadness, thinking that they were replaced in each other's lives, which I can't tell is a measure of their friendship or just their egos. It doesn't seem like they care about getting together again. It just seems like they're both mad. So Sonny ends up going all the way to Glendovia to find Tawny leaving. Yeah, it's not as pretty as it's cracked up to be, is it, Sonny?
Oh, great! You broke the car!
Nico and Grady try to take on the persona of Dinka to try to score girls, assuming it's like the new trend in how to get women. And of course it's not. They're so awkward with it. So once Sonny and Tawny are reunited in this new country, they go to their Check It Out Girls grocery store as this exchange program. Turns out they just want them to be actual checkout cashiers, which I was not expecting. The fact that this country thinks that they're actually serious and it's not a sketch, that's funny. But of course, such a ridiculous situation is how Sonny and Tawny reconnect by the end of the episode, which is pretty genuine. Like, it's funny to think about the relation to comedy in different countries versus your country, and like how Dinka doesn't really get the humor that Americans like. I don't even know how this episode ends on such a weird note, but it's funny. Like, this was a good one to get us started, but I don't think it was the best one of the season. The next one's really good, though.
Episode 3 actually gets pretty crazy. It's called Gassie Passes, and this is funny because it's actually referencing a sketch we've seen before. It's about this dog that farts, which honestly in hindsight is kind of ridiculous, but the way they make it work within the confines of this show is really funny. So there's going to be a spin-off movie, kind of like SNL used to do, like with Hot Rod and Andy Samberg. Like, they used to basically take the sketch characters and give them a full-length film, and that's what they're doing with Gassy. They're doing Gassy and We. Definitely a parody of Marley and Me. And everybody has skin in the game. Like, everybody is affected by this plot. Nico and Grady are excited about this movie because they could sell a bunch of lunchboxes that have farting noises, okay? Tawny is going to be the main character, so it's her big acting debut. And Sonny, of course, needs to step in the way of everything. So Gassy has this manager that seems like kind of like this abusive, cold person that doesn't treat Gassy right. So Sonny takes it upon herself to start showing it love and affection. Okay. Really funny because it's like that's her biggest flaw, is like her big heart. She visits Gassy in its dressing room, and I can't believe Gassy has a dressing room with a dog door, which is kind of cute. She gives him a meatball and they form a nice relationship. Aww. This woman is actually really good at acting. I can't believe how into the character she is.
Gassy! 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 Goodbye, Gassy!
Even the collar is up the entire time. I can't believe it. I cannot get over the fact that her collar is up throughout this episode. Meanwhile, Chad Dylan Cooper is getting ready for his own movie, and Sonny just interferes by taking the dog to check out the greenery of Mackenzie Falls, which he has a point. They're not actual greenery.
Trees are cardboard and the grass is plastic, because this is a set.
Sonny's just kind of like, oh, well, I guess that doesn't make any sense. Meanwhile, Nico and Grady are actually a lot more into this whole business business deal than we thought. They need to borrow money from the girl named Dakota. Remember, she's from the Sonny in the Studio Brad episode, the girl that pretty much takes over So Random. Yeah, she's back in this to loan Nico and Grady money, and this is like a common plot done in teen sitcoms where the kids get way in over their heads, either spending money irresponsibly or incorrectly, and they have to spend the rest of their life paying back the debt they're owed, and with interest. That's what they have to do with Dakota. So a lot of money's on the line for them, which is a huge deal. They're very insistent that this is gonna work out and everybody's gonna buy the lunch boxes. So cool, great. But they don't know that Sonny's love is actually dangerous. So when they're performing the Gassy sketch, Gassy ends up not even being able to fart. And this woman has such a funny line. She's like, this dog is supposed to fart in E minor, which I don't know why they would do that, but hey, it's gotta happen.
Gassy toots in E minor. That sounds like a B flat.
Sonny tries to cover up for this whole fact, which ends up being even more suspicious, and then everybody catches her in the act. She's fart syncing, which, if you don't know what that means, it's like lip syncing, like somebody would be behind the curtain and sing for the person on stage. It's kind of like a cheat out to like get the person to appear more talented. Sonny does that with the dog and makes it seem like he's farting. And of course, nobody picks up on that. I don't know how. And everybody gets mad at Sonny.
You're the reason Gassy is gasless. You broke his wind.
Suddenly, none of these boxes go for sale. The movie is over, and even the trainer of Gassy is like, you know what? I don't want Gassy anymore. Take it, Sonny. So Sonny is stuck with this dog. Meanwhile, everybody is angry at Sonny. And I really like the way this goes, and you think it's gonna end here, but it literally gets so much worse. Like, Gassy dies right on set. So not only is Sonny like in a kerfuffle, she just got animal abuse on this entire set. Everybody is furious with her. Now, Nico and Grady can't pay back Dakota, and everybody is furious. Chad takes this moment to supposedly like care for Sonny, seeming like a really good friend and actually trying to see what's going on, until we realize he just wants to plan the funeral. So he plans this doggy funeral with a huge operatic singer and tries to turn it into this event that he could monetize, only making Sonny realize that people only care about monetizing all these animals and they don't actually care about Gassy and the fact that he died, which is actually kind of depressing. Sonny is like the main character and wants a lot of correct things, but it just turns out everybody around her is so crazy, it makes her seem like the villain. I like it when everybody is like seeming worse than they are because of this. Of course, Tawny and Nico and Grady try to take advantage of this poor dog's death and monetize all of their belongings, which is definitely an LA thing. I feel like that's just how they are down there. But hey, you could judge me all you want. I lived there long enough to know. In the end, they find out that Gassy's not really dead. He farts in his sleep, and it just turns out he's alive. The dog trainer realizes that she has to be more caring toward her, which is like, I don't know what prompted that. It feels that wasn't on purpose, or like nobody really learned. It just seems something was constantly punished throughout this episode. Kind of inspirational, but more so makes me look down on every character but Sonny. How are we supposed to do it? It ends up in a dance number, and that's just how it goes. Can't explain the rest. I can't say that everybody had a happy ending after this, because we didn't get to see the movie or talk about it ever again, so I'm just gonna have to take everybody's word for this. It ends with a really funny after credit scene of Chad trying to direct this dog, and of course he's not gonna listen, so I just like watching Chad get upset. He's my favorite character all around. But yeah, Gassie Passes is so crazy. It feels like 5 plots just happened. I mean, everybody really had a lot of stakes to worry about, so it seems like this was just a whole bunch of stuff going on, but really it's just a 20-minute episode. I can't even believe that. The next episode is both a hit and a complete miss for me, and this is the one where it completely changes the trajectory of Sonny with a Chance forever. In a way, I'm not actually sure is beneficial for the show or just a Disney Channel ploy to try to get this show going. It's called Sonny with a Song, and as you can guess, it just has Demi Lovato singing in it. And you know what? Kudos to the writers, because they really found a way to make this work. I feel like every time I was trying to get worried about the fact that they're having Sonny sing is a time that it's left off with a joke or something less stressful, so it actually feels like relevant to the show. And that's something I really like about the show. They really pulled off off everything they had to do. So it starts with everybody getting ready for this new guest star to come in and sing, and he's like a famous pop singer who writes his own songs and is super famous. So it's actually really good for the show, and it's gonna benefit it like completely. Meanwhile, Nico and Grady's whole plot is them trying to do a magic act in this like sequins outfits, which by the way are super fly, and this giant cage trying to make somebody disappear. It's actually a really funny bit because like they try to make Marshall disappear and just nothing like that works out.
One! Disappear! Still here.
Meanwhile, when this new pop star comes, everybody's obsessed with him except for Sonny. Sonny's playing super cold, and this guitar player, he only likes Sonny because of that.
It's like she doesn't even know I'm here. You're not blind, are you, love?
This guy only appreciates when people are cold to him. We learn in secret that Sonny is actually a major fan of his.
Oh, I am. No,
And has been writing music for quite some time. She admits it to Tawny, and Tawny kind of mocks her for it, which I would too. I feel like, especially if you're working in a comedy place, that stuff is going to be turned down pretty quickly, which I do like the dynamic of that in this show. I feel like the comedy versus drama is 100% what makes it super relatable, everybody fitting into their own box. Chad Dylan Cooper's plot is super funny in this because he introduces the new idea of bangs.
I call them, woo, ba-bangs.
You think it's normal bangs, but it's extra long bangs. He sucks up to this new pop star who doesn't give a heck about Chad Dylan Cooper, and it's just funny watching Chad be a little bit desperate. Soon enough, Sonny reveals that her whole goal is to get him to hear her song. And yeah, once he starts seeing through Sonny's ploy by her bringing out a giant piano, it took her long enough, he realizes that she's just a dabbler. She doesn't actually create songs and show people them. She just hides it in her little song pillow, which is true. She has a song pillow, and that's kind of what sparked the fight between her and Tawny to begin with. It's fun watching them go back and forth, and I agree with this guy in this instant that, like, if you're just a dabbler, just playing with music and not actually gonna do anything about it, hey, what's there to do? So Tawny comes in and sings Sonny's song to the guy, and he's like, whoa, that's a great song, which is such a betrayal. But how many sitcoms have you seen where one character creates something, another character tries to take credit for it, and then everything blows up? That's exactly what happens. But Sonny takes it a step further, with Tawny seeming like she wrote the song, and then the pop star steals it from Tawny. Okay, so he steals it from everybody, and then he steals the babangs from Chad, which why was that trending for them? And then the sequence outfits and top hats from Nico and Grady. So he's just stolen something from everybody. Marshall doesn't want to do anything about it. Typical adult. The kids like just want help, and he won't do it until they realize this is perfect. They're just gonna lock this superstar into the box until he admits that he stole this stuff. And then you'd be surprised, the magic actually works and the guy disappears completely.
How did I get in this box?
Okay, I don't know how that logic fits in, but it's just gonna. So then we get a 3-minute song with Demi Lovato singing Me, Myself, and Time. It worked in like a promotion on Disney Channel at the time, and it works really well in this song. I mean, she's got a great voice, but like if the character had never sung before and she's just belting out these amazing notes, it's a little bit annoying. It's not as bad as like the Wizards of Waverly Place one where she just broke out into music. It's not as good as the Hannah Montana ones when she's working it into her career anyway. No, it just feels like it's out of place for a comedy show to feature a singer-songwriter in this way. But like I said, because they added this new character, had him steal the song, and made something really funny out of it, I can't deny it's a good episode. It just bothers me that this doesn't go away. Like, Sonny being able to do all this is just going to continuously happen throughout the show. And I wish her skill was that she was funny and that she was a good comedian, because it does come up a little bit later in this season, you'll see, but here it's just out of place. Okay, this is actually one of my favorite episodes. It's called High School Miserable. It's episode 5, and I just like it because it's borderline a musical episode. If you're fans of the show or fans of the High School Musical, I think you'll probably disagree with me, but whatever. I just like that they're taking the music to the next level in this season, except for the parts where they make Demi a singer. That part annoys me. So the first sketch kind of foreshadows the rest of the episode. It's just the main characters being so wrapped up in their own personal bubble that they don't realize there's an outside world. And happens in the sketch with these New Jersey girls.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, are those two wenches at the mall?
Yeah, they're getting the nails did, but you didn't hear it from me.
And then it also happens in real life when they realize that they're not normal people. Long story short, the kids are getting fed up and write a letter to Mr. Condor. As you can remember, he is the head of the studio and has this daughter named Dakota. Marshall reveals that the letter that they sent actually proved them to be ungrateful, so they're going to use Dakota to actually fill in for all of their roles. Wait, what? So yeah, they're basically being told these 5 teenage people are going to be replaced by this one 8-year-old girl. I mean, I don't know if she's 8, but that's the point. So when they think that nothing's going to happen because of their critiques for Mr. Condor, they're super surprised when he puts them into public high school. Oh my gosh. So we get to see this cast of friends in public high school for the first time. Honestly, I wish they could have done a little bit better of a job, but I think they make up for it pretty quickly. Every one of them has a different issue within the high school system, which, I wish it wasn't just half an episode to cover all this. Like, Grady is getting hit on by a bully, and they have a weirdly comfortable relationship where he's just getting wedgies all the time in all different ways, but he's not against it. That part's a little weird for me. Sonny essentially becomes the kid's guide because she's the only one who's attended public school, and so she's kind of trying to help them navigate it, which is actually really poor right off the bat. It's so funny to think that why would she be popular enough to even tell what she can do? Tawny doesn't fit into the popular group, which really bothers her, of course.
I've never ever been to public school.
And yeah, all this leads into a really fun musical number in the cafeteria.
I never thought that it would be this cruel.
The number's really fun. It's every character and what they hate about high school, which I totally agree with.
Apparently the only high school these guys know is the musical one.
And then, because of this, they get detention, all of them, which I would be really impressed if I were the teacher. I don't care what you say. That was a really cool organizational musical number within the high school cafeteria. That's all I'm gonna have to say about that. And when they get a call from Marshall, they're pretty much sure that they're gonna be invited back, but turns out Dakota's just so good, she's able to play all of their parts. So who knows when they would ever be pulled out of high school. And it's just funny to think of high school being this really dark, dingy place. It's kind of relatable because we all have to do it, and it feels like prison, but I don't know, the characters just seem utterly tortured for going there, and I wish they got a little bit into it. There's some positive parts for sure. And then it gets even wackier. So the kids are all called into an assembly where Chad Dillon Cooper just happens to be the speaker. Yeah, real surprise. I don't know how they brought him into this world, but it's actually really funny, and he's trying to talk to them about what it's like to get a job in entertainment, and of course he's talking about So Random being the horrible downgrade. But it's also quickly revealed that because they're in high school, they're lesser people than them. Chad somehow has a shirt gun, which I don't know why you would have that in an assembly room, but hey, it's Chad Dillon Cooper. He could have anything. One by one, he just hits the So Randoms with his t-shirt gun, and that's kind of all that happens. The episode abruptly ends there, where we find out that this was just a fantasy. Nobody actually got enrolled in high school, maybe because the writers didn't want to have to find a way to undo that whole situation. And yeah, they're let's not write this letter to Mr. Condor, let's just be grateful. So I guess the moral of the story is don't speak up for yourself? I don't know. I mean, the musical number is definitely the best. The rest of the episode doesn't seem to hold up as much because they're not in high school as long as I'd like them to be. It more so feels like an entire act of a joke going on than anything else, and then the surrounding plot with Dakota doesn't feel like enough interesting content to make up the rest of the episode. So all around, it's a confusing experience, but hey, this episode could be good. Episode number 6 is The Legend of Candy Face, and I've actually talked about this episode particularly on a Halloween special because I feel like this is definitely Halloween vibes. It starts out with this sketch, Mackenzie Stalls, and it's a So Random parody of the Mackenzie Falls characters, and of course there's gonna be pushback. You can't just make fun of all these guys, get away with it. The toilet is the waterfall, which I kind of think is genius, and the sketches in this season are so well written.
But I'm not the only one with a secret shame.
You mean?
Yes! You forgot to flush.
Did you wash your hands?
Of course I did.
Lies!
They're one of the shows that don't just act hey, we're funny. They actually show you they're funny. And that's something that iCarly does. I feel like they act weird and that's supposed to be funny, but at least Sonny with a Chance has good writing to back it up. Chad takes this as a challenge, seeing all of them attack Mackenzie Falls, which I would too. It definitely makes a lot of sense. So they retaliate. Of course, Sonny expected this, and the feud between Mackenzie Falls and So Random ends up getting way pushed to the limit. And this is essentially the rest of the episode. It's just how these characters will deal with having to be forced to get along. The teacher in this, the redhead, who was in the first season a lot, is the one taking these kids onto a retreat to let them get along. Of course, things go crazy when they have like a little campfire and they're talking about the legend of Candy Face. Oh wait, but I gotta backtrack a little bit. Of course, they both go about wildlife, nature in different ways, with the so random people pitching a tent and like just having it be horrible. And Mackenzie Falls gets this like super uber rich. They're glamping essentially. They got this tent with a blender, speakers. Like it's just a funny bit to have them like do it all like that.
That's like the Taj tent.
So the teacher tells the story about the legend of Candy Face and how it will basically just attack.
Oh, this Candy Face story is really scaring me.
Really? Because what's scaring me is how many s'mores Zora's eaten.
So the Candy Face story is just terrifying, and it's in this really ominous song that the teacher sings, and it's kind of freaky.
I sing a tale of Candy Face, scattered limbs all over the place.
Next thing you know, the so random people and Mackenzie Falls are still trying to get along with a bunch of trust exercises. Everybody's pairing is pretty funny, with Nico being paired with the one he's attracted to, Zora just some random Mackenzie Falls person, and Tawny some random... there's a lot of random Mackenzie Falls people, honestly. Of course, Sonny's paired with Chad. Didn't see that coming. But she's not even the main character of So Random. Like, they're pretty equally split, so I don't know why Sonny gets forced to be with him. They end up all bonding over the fact that they found something go bump in the night, and it must have been Candy Face. They have the teacher perched up and continuously singing the lore of Candy Face while this goes on, and meanwhile, everybody wakes up in panic throughout the night. Later, they find Sonny lost in the woods, realizing that Candy Face probably tried to attack her, until Sonny realizes that maybe she's Candy Face. Ooh, she's the one who stole everything and like did all this sleepwalking. So Sonny's actually worried about herself. Is she gonna get away with the fact that she was the one who did all this stuff? No. Later, Mackenzie Falls and So Random actually super bond over the situation, and of course Sonny knows the truth, and everybody else is preparing to destroy Candy Face, making pitchforks and weapons out of the resources they have in the forest, and of course Sonny is super worried because she's gonna get murdered. So at night, everybody's getting ready to face off against Candy Face, luring him in with candy, and of course, Sonny tries to take Lookout. She ends up falling asleep and becoming Candy Face once again, with everybody else bonding over the fact that they're scared of this person. They end up finding out it's Sonny, and everybody gets furious with her, which, poor her, I feel like pushing down Sonny just happens to be what makes everybody bond, and that's really depressing to me. I feel like Sonny's spirit should definitely be acknowledged, and she should inspire positivity against everybody else as opposed to get bogged down by their drama. But hey, in the end, they end up all getting along.
I mean, you pointed your weapons at me as one.
And we get one final song, but hey, it's a sweet episode. I feel like we never see these two casts get along, but by the end of it, it's very, very good. Episode 7 is called Gummy with a Chance, and it feels a lot like episode 6, honestly. It starts with a Sicky Vicky sketch, which, by the way, not that funny. I feel like it's just a little more gross than anything, but hey, I'm just a viewer. What can I say? Sonny kind of ridicules Zora for being superstitious, and like they all have their thing they do before going on set to give them good luck, and Sonny has that too. She's just kind of shaming everybody else and keeping it a secret. She chews on gum. Okay, so she's a little ashamed of this, doesn't want to admit that that's how she like performs really well, like it's how she is funny, and then Tawny trips on it in the middle of the sketch, ruining the show. I can't believe how many times they've directly ruined the show. Why isn't Marshall getting involved at this point? It's another episode where Sonny has to be secretive about what she's doing, kind of like Gassie Passes and the Legend of Candy Face. Why is Sonny always the enemy of this show? And it's her trying to keep everybody in line. Like, what the heck? She tries to rise above all of this and not let it get to them, but Tawny takes over. She's like, no more gum, like, this is gonna ruin the world. And so they ban gum from the entire studio. Meanwhile, Chad Dylan Cooper is working on some kind of energy efficient thing. I don't know. I just like that he's always involved in some kind of charity that sounds better than it actually really it. Like, it just gets so outlandishly campy that it's like hard to joke about it. We get introduced to a new set through that plot, which is Chad's dressing room, which I find super funny. We actually come here a lot throughout the rest of the series, so it's cool that we get introduced to a new location. Meanwhile, Tawny is getting more and more suspicious of Sonny, but Sonny's just happy she's getting away with it, until Zora admits she can tell that Sonny's doing this. Sonny keeps getting flashbacks to like a really traumatic moment with her grandmother constantly throughout this episode, making it seem like a huge deal.
Vision? Who are you, Raven?
Meanwhile, it feels like this whole addiction plot line where she cannot get over it.
Look, Zora, you just can't say anything to Tawny about my gum problem.
Zora is like, I won't tell your secret, and I'll even help you hide your gum once you're done using it. I don't know why Sonny has to go to such great lengths to hide this, unless it's the trauma. But of course, Tawny keeps digging in her heels, making sure that this never happens. When Sonny's not able to have gum on set, it turns out to be true, she's not able to be funny anymore. And it becomes like this whole thing where like, she's nervous that she's gonna have to lose her job and everything. And yeah, it's a really dangerous situation. I would be worried if I were her. Grady and Nico starting acting like gym bros throughout this episode, which I find super funny considering how like nerdy they are.
Let's just start exercising on that machine over there. Come on. That's the fire alarm.
I don't know, seeing them like team up on Sonny is funny, although it does like give me bad vibes because it's like, why would you treat her like that? You guys are friends, come on. It's kind of gross the way Zora just brings around this giant ball of gum, and I can't believe Tawny doesn't notice that. Like, it just appears in a bunch of different places. Meanwhile, Chad's energy is completely gone down. Turns out that he convinced Nico and Grady to start working out to actually power his dressing room. So ridiculous. And he has like a full-on TV. Like, I'm so jealous of this guy's dressing room. When Tawny finally figures out that Sonny is the problem with the gum, it's kind of anticlimactic, and it just is treated like an addiction scenario where she's like, no more gum. And then they end up fully like arguing about it. But hey, it's not even like relevant until we get back to the Nico and Grady plot. So they're still trying to keep Chad Dillon Cooper's room energized, and the more fast they go, the more everything speeds up, which doesn't really make sense to me. So yeah, he's doing like this whole photo shoot, and everything goes haywire because they're working out extra hard. I didn't realize that's how it worked, but I'm just gonna move on. Sonny gets over her addiction by realizing where the idea that gum makes her funny comes from. And it's funny because it's like Tawny's laughing at her, and she dresses her up like her grandmother and is like, oh, that's the reason. And suddenly she doesn't need gum to be funny anymore. Okay, so superstition is just a bunch of baloney is the moral of the story. I like that this is like an episode because if you're performing on stage, obviously it adds the stakes that you need to be perfect every time, and I like seeing Sonny try to maintain that. Also, Chad Dillon Cooper and Nico and Grady having a plot line, so rare, but like actually really funny. It kind of gives me the Hannah Montana, Jason Earls, and Moises Arias vibes, Rico and Jackson. That's the bread and butter of that show, and this is just funny that it like peeks into it every now and then. Episode 8 is such a funny concept. It's called Random Acts of Disrespect, and it's essentially what would happen if So Random went a little bit too far with some of their jokes. It starts out with like a really funny rehearsal sketch about like an elderly retirement home and them just making fun of how old they are. They end up announcing the winner of a sweepstakes and a day with So Random, Grace Gallagher. And at first they're like, oh, what a sweet little girl, but it turns out to be Muriel from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, something I was not expecting. This woman is so cool. So she and all the old folks in the home apparently watched the show, but like barely. Honestly, it seems like they don't even know what the show is. I don't know why she cared to win this competition. Maybe for the food. She keeps talking about the food they want to get at So Random all the time. And Tawny and Sonny pretty much are reflected in these two old women.
Let's ditch them. Why? Because they're ancient. I don't do vintage.
Let's ditch them. That brunette is so perky. I don't do perky.
Like, they both act exactly like them.
I call it Edith, Queen of the Rec Room.
So they take them to the set of So Random, and Sonny pretty much treats them like children.
Wait, careful, careful! There's wires, there's big, dangerous wires.
Meanwhile, Chad Dillon Cooper has actual children, and apparently it's a charity about kids that are scared of clowns, which I find hilarious. Like, that cannot be a charity. And just the fact that this is Chad's, like, 50th charity in this season alone is hilarious to me. So in this episode, an old man that's bald tells Chad that he's gonna end up just like him, and Chad's like, no, I'm not, but then actually freaks out about it. Has essentially like a midlife crisis at age 17. Meanwhile, Sonny and Tawny are trying to figure out which sketch would be perfect for Muriel to be in. Oh my gosh, Muriel. Grace Gallagher, whatever. And so they do a whole parody sketch making fun of old people.
I like my women the way I like my soup. Room temperature and a little salty.
And Grace is like not having it. She steps in and makes a whole scene out of it. By the way, before we get there, like Weezer's of Waverly Place, That's So Graven, and Nana Montana, like things that would be about old people. It's just so funny to me, honestly. The fact that the old people get offended and start protesting so random is kind of crazy. Even like the lunch lady starts bothering Nico and Grady. Just nobody wins in this situation. Meanwhile, Chad Dillon Cooper does actually lose his hair because he overthinks it, and of course has to confide within Sonny. I don't know, their relationship is very touch and go in general. So when So Random tries to make it up to the old people, Sonny and Tawny are like, let's go out and shop till we drop. And oh my gosh, this is the craziest part. So they do go out shopping and find out that Grace Gallagher actually robs a bank and insists on Tawny and Demi being the getaway drivers.
Now drive, Roots!
Oh my gosh. So now they're in trouble with the law. They run back to the elderly home, hide all the money they just got. And remember when I said these episodes feel super long? Like, this is so much stuff to happen. The cops show up, starts arresting Sonny and Tawny.
I can't go to prison. There's not enough closet space in prison.
Which is so funny. It's basically the elderly paying back Sonny and Tawny for them making fun of them in the sketch. Then next we get a Grady episode, which are so few and far between. Justice for my boy Grady over here. He's like barely had episodes about him yet.
It's so not cooler.
So Grady with a Chance, I feel like is the episode that is most like a teen trope. Like, it's basically Sonny pretending to be Grady's girlfriend so that way his brother doesn't rag on him. And this situation's a little bit more extreme because Grady's brother is like a Delta Nu college kid.
Delta Nu rules!
And it's just so hard to impress. He pretty much just bullies Grady. Meanwhile, Sonny's trying to go on a date with this guy who plays a vampire and just supposedly wears all the makeup he would need on set at the studio. I don't know. Maybe it makes sense to people, but it doesn't make sense to me. And Grady's brother is so funny. I don't know why. I feel like the toxic masculine traits in the 2010s were just so funny to me. Of course, Sonny is very sweet for doing this favor. She really doesn't have to step in and do this. The fact that Grady doesn't ask her, a lot of positivity for his character in my head. Chad's hair is completely different, which is kind of confusing, but I'm just gonna go with a production order for this one. Oh my gosh, and Nico and Tawny do not know what to talk about when they're on their own.
Here we are, talking about how we thought we'd have nothing to talk about.
That's something to talk about.
No, it's not.
Yeah, we got nothing.
Very classic when sitcoms like have two characters that are never in the same scene, not know what to talk about. It's just funny. So when Grady's brother actually shows up, they try a bunch of different ways to fake a breakup, but then when Grady hears that his brother's trying to get with Sonny, they have to change course by making her look disgusting, and that doesn't work either. He wants to be with her more. Was not expecting that. Meanwhile, Nico and Tawny in this whole episode trying to convince Chad Dillon Cooper that he is shrinking. Okay? So they replace all his clothes in the dressing room, and it is just a consistent cycle of pranks.
Side effects may include intermittent hearing loss.
You shouldn't.
And if you longer than 4 hours, hospital.
Head swellage may be followed by funhouse vision. Funhouse vision? What the heck is that? Oh, what's that?
Meanwhile, Sonny finally gets to go on a date with this vampire guy, and only the Delta Nu guy finds out. So Grady is not aware that his brother thinks that Demi is cheating on him. Which, by the way, she's not. It's just funny to me. Grady is surprised when his brother brings him to catch Sonny cheating on him. Aww. And then obviously the thing blows up in everybody's face. Even the vampire guy doesn't know what to say to Sonny. Sonny doesn't know what to do. It's just a big mess until Grady comes clean, tells his brother everything that's wrong with him, and his brother admits that maybe he should be more like him, and aw, that's very sweet, but he's a horrible guy and treats women terribly, especially in this episode. All around, a funny plot for sure.
Being the greatest actor of your generation takes a lot out of you. So when life bites you, bite back.
So now we have two-part episodes back to back with major story moments, something that I did not expect at all, especially considering not only is this their first two-part episode, but it's right after another two-part episode. It's ridiculous. Falling for the Falls is the first one, and this I consider one of the most important two-part episodes in TV history. Because why? It's about Sonny and Chad. Of course, they like kind of have this bickering going on with a lot of love tension throughout the series. It's very obvious that they're going to be paired off together by the way they bicker. It's very cute. Part one of this special is Sonny finding out that her mom actually likes Mackenzie Falls. Okay. Yeah, Sonny and her friends take a shot every time Mackenzie Falls says falls. Oh wait, well, not a shot. You guys know what I mean. They pour water. It's ridiculous. We get Chad back to his normal hair, still confused about this concept. And the B-plot is just about every other character in So Random not being able to get done their science project because Sonny isn't done hers and they usually copy her. And yeah, this is actually coming from a pretty shallow place, their plot, which is kind of annoying. Sonny, meanwhile, is getting addicted to Mackenzie Falls, watching the show as much as possible, like with her mother.
Sweetie, you don't have homework, do you?
I do. 3 seasons worth.
And it's so funny that that is like the biggest shame of her life. Like, she doesn't want anybody to know. And so that's why she's not actually studying. And unfortunately, So Random doesn't realize that they're not going to get their projects done either if they keep following her. Later, they start all conspiring against her, being like, dang, she's definitely got something going on behind our back. And they know it. It's Mackenzie Falls, the fact that she's watching it. So they confront her pretty quickly, and she just consistently lies and lies to try to get out of it. And this is crazy because it's all about the show up until this point, right? Like, Sonny just likes the show.
We will talk.
But I'm tired of writing alone.
Get on that horse, Mackenzie!
It's too much for her friends that she's watching the show. So she confronts Chad about like what happens in the show so she doesn't have to watch it in front of them, only to realize Chad actually asks her out, says Sonny's name, and it is just thrown out there. And I kind of like how random it comes across because you don't expect it at all until the studio audience awes and you're like, oh my gosh, maybe this is a big deal. Sonny gets super nervous and it seems like she's about to reject him. But hey, it goes in the opposite direction. She actually says yes. And this point forward, everything will change. Sonny with a Chance will never be the same after Demi releases her feelings for Chad Dylan Cooper. So now they're both planning to go on this special date, something that they both secretly have been wanting, and they're a lot sweeter to each other right off the bat. And from now on, the bickering becomes a lot more flirtatious. They keep ending up in fights, so it's them like teetering in and out of an actual relationship. Kind of crazy. And So Random bugs her about like, oh my god, what if you were with Chad? That would be kind of crazy. And she's like, oh, maybe I should tell them, and actually debates it for a second, but doesn't do it. Okay, fine. So Sonny decides she needs to call off the date because she's worried about what everybody's going to think of them, and that's going to be annoying for what's about to come. Meanwhile, Sonny and Chad get in another fight about this because Chad is like, are you more upset that we're not going on a date or that you don't get to watch Mackenzie Falls? And that turns into a whole argument with Sonny ending up getting kicked off the set. And I don't know why, it's just so funny seeing Sonny and Chad fight like really hard one last time because it's about to get more romantic. So Nico and Grady find out that Sonny was at Mackenzie Falls. Once again, they confront her at her house. The only difference is this time Chad actually tries to make it up to Sonny by giving her a picture of him with flowers and Mackenzie Falls. Oh my god, look at the picture of him with flowers. It's just like been taken moments before. That's so funny. And it says, to my lady. So they actually agree they're gonna have a nice date, and it's not gonna matter as long as they could keep it a secret. That's when So Random comes in, everybody confronts everybody, and it seems like they're screwed until
Sonny's mother is also my mother.
Demi and Chad use the tennis match as a way of hiding this entire ordeal. Like, Sonny and Chad are just collaborating on a tennis match, and that's why they've been so close together. The So Random team buys this all, and they agree to go on their date, with a quick, funny ending of them actually doing the tennis tournament. I was not seeing that coming.
Now be a gracious loser and shake Mr. Efron's hand.
Never!
That's when it brings us to the second part of the Falling for the Falls, and this one's more so about the actual date they go on. It's still a big deal that So Random doesn't know, and it has a lot to do with them hiding it.
They're watching.
Yeah, I know, act natural.
What say you, good woman? Were these apples freshly picked this fine morn?
Chad's hair is officially short. I think this is like the actual moment they kind of wanted to intend for it to be short. I don't know, but that's just me theorizing. There's a really funny bit where Grady keeps saying he knows how to read lip syncing, and it's horrible. And it's horrible in a funny way, obviously. So Random is still suspicious. Meanwhile, Sonny and Chad are getting ready for their date, and it's really cute. Like, we have a little montage of both of them not knowing what to wear, not knowing what to say.
This would be so much easier if I was a dude.
This would be so much easier if I was an average dude. Too Nico. Too Grady. Too tawny, but very comfortable.
And So Random is out for pizza night, so they're not even gonna be involved. At least that's what we think. Sonny and Chad finally get together and go out on their date, and you know what? It gets really embarrassing. Why?
Can't believe we're finally doing this.
Neither can I.
Imagine how we feel!
Because first off, So Random somehow found out and are in the limo, confronting Sonny right away. Both of them are able to push this off again, which I don't know how in the world they're able to keep excusing the fact that they're going out. I mean, well, now Sonny is just like, hey, if we bribe you, you won't talk about this, right? And start giving them stuff from the limo, which is kind of ridiculous. I don't know. And then they go on their date. Everything seems like it's gonna go great, but I don't know. They've been ending up in a lot of arguments lately, so it could go either way.
Why don't you order since you know so much about sushi?
Oh my gosh. I forgot everything I know about sushi.
Oh my gosh. I'm boring him so much, he's trying to drown himself.
And it goes a funny way because Chad ends up spitting all of his water on Sonny, but not even like normally. It's like a fire hose. Like, look at this. This isn't even realistic. He's just so nervous, and it's kind of cute because it's like, oh, that's sweet. But then he runs away. And honestly, if you ran away from the date, I don't care how embarrassed you were, that's awkward. Meanwhile, it's confirmed to everybody that they actually did go on a date. It's in the front of Tween Weekly. So Random is mad at her, which I guess you guys knew this, like, this is not new information. You caught her in the limo the other day. And Chad just tries to get her back. Now it's all about their relationship, not necessarily trying to hide it anymore. They fight one last time, and Sonny is just alone and depressed, and Chad gets to woo her one last time. It just feels like Chad constantly coming to Sonny, apologizing for something rude he said a couple scenes earlier, and I don't know, his whole ego is just so sensitive because he doesn't think before he speaks, and he just always comes back anyway, so I don't know why Chad just doesn't pick up on it. He ends up proving to her that he's not ashamed to look like a fool for Sonny by putting it up on a billboard, which, yeah, have you guys ever had that? Your romantic partner putting something on a billboard? Yeah, no, because it's not reality, let alone a teen's reality. And it's sweet. They have a little nice date outside the billboard, and yeah, I feel like this episode is just really good at announcing their relationship together, having the touch and go and arguments right off the bat so that way we can get over them. It kind of reminds me of iCarly when Freddie and Sam get together and there's just so much complications with them, like they're always fighting. This one at least is doing it in a healthy way. You actually root for them to be together, and they still kind of keep their snappy dialogue together. So it's a good couple. I feel like this is one of the ones I like the most, but then again, I also like Chad Dylan Cooper the most, so that might be the bias.
You are one pretty man.
And that's when we'll get to the last episode I think I'll cover on this. It's another two-part episode, Sonny with a Secret. And if you guys have been on my channel before, I've actually covered this in small ways. This is actually one of my favorite two-part episodes. I don't know how they had two back-to-back fire specials, but they really did. Sonny with a Secret was heavily promoted on Disney Channel because it just seemed like, whoa, what's going on with Sonny? And you know what? They really promised and delivered. It starts out with her at her going away party to go to Hollywood, and they give her a really ugly wig, but it does kind of bring me back to the days she had that hair. I don't know, I think it's kind of cool to think back to season 1 Sonny.
I will always have cheese in my heart.
Gouda, Marty, cheddar, and cat! Wisconsin cheese is an awesome snack!
So yeah, we find out in present day that they're celebrating her first year at So Random. She gets a cake and it threatens her, ? Yeah, it says Sonny is a fraud. Later they're watching on TV and everybody's like kind of upset because it's like, what could they possibly be talking about? And it turns out Tween Weekly is already reporting on this whole situation. And you can't really tell who the enemy is. Is it Tween Weekly or is it the person who sent her the cake? Either way, both of them are at Sonny's offense. We're introduced to the Tween TV reporter, who is actually a really good antagonist, and just look looking for the gossip.
Looks like things aren't so sunny. That's so random.
He's gonna come back constantly throughout this, only pushing Sonny further and further. Of course, we are introduced to Chad and Sonny dating. I like that it's just automatically a part of this. It's really sweet seeing them actually like care for one another. Like Chad is like, hey, you know, you need to get back to your high school reunion to turn in your old paper. That's sweet. Let's go do that together. Meanwhile, he's taking advice only from fortune cookies, which is kind of crazy. His co-star Penelope, he's like, hey, you and Penelope should get along since you're my two favorite girls and go bond shopping. And they're like, why would we do that? Because we don't like each other, have nothing in common. And then they realize that that's a perfect reason to shop together. Okay. Then in the B plot, Nico and Grady find this really rare coin that is apparently worth a lot of money. And see, that's about to come up, but you'll see. So Sonny's actually getting along with Penelope, with Tawny bothering her the whole time. Tawny's whole plot is that she's completely out of the spotlight and Sonny has taken over every mean for attention, especially here when Sonny actually is staged to have stolen a necklace. So while the Tween Weekly guy comes into the mall to interview Sonny, she gets taken away in handcuffs. And it's just funny because of course Tawny is just focused on trying to be on camera, like she just wants the attention of the reporter, which is crazy. So everything just goes insane and Marshall and Chad try to come to her defense, which is actually really sweet, like having a moment together considering they're not really in each other's worlds to begin with. And there's like this other plot where there's a cheese ball that's gonna get shot out of a cheese cannon in her hometown, and this is all going to be a part of the reunion she's going to go to. Right away, it comes up on TV that Sonny is a thief, and Sonny is like, okay, we need to take down this reporter. So now the reporter is trying to dig up even more info on Sonny, which is crazy. Nico and Grady and Sonny all come out of the trash can, along with Tawny as well, to try to defend her. Until the guy points out that the coin that Nico and Grady have been missing is actually in Sonny's pocket. So now nobody is on Sonny's side. Tawny's mad at her because of all the attention she's getting. Nico and Grady are mad because she stole the coin, and Marshall's mad because apparently she stole the Sicky Vicky sketch. Yeah, the reporter reports that on TV as if he didn't have enough to talk about already, and is just saying that there was a real girl, Vicky Sikowitz or something that she copied off, which is downright ridiculous to me. Meanwhile, Sonny is stuck in her apartment because all these journalists want to get a quote from her, and Chad comes to her defense again, and he's just really sweet in this episode until everybody finds out that Chad's fortune cookie debacle is on the internet too. Oh my god, and Sonny's the only one who knew, so he blames her as well. Everybody is just completely against Sonny, and it's just not even this episode. It's like, I feel like so far, these 13 episodes of this season is just constant Sonny having to hide, Sonny having to get away with something, and being the most bubbly character is what makes it even more confusing for me. So we jump into the second part of Sonny with a Secret, having Tawny come over to visit Sonny, which is kind of sweet because I feel like she's the one that's been harmed the least by Sonny, so it's like fair that she's the one coming in. And she's like, we're gonna go to Wisconsin together and, you know, deliver the cheese ball, turn in your book report. It's like all these goals.
I have to find my way back to Wisconsin without paparazzi following me. And I still haven't done my book report on the grapes of wrath.
So they have to sneak out in disguises, both wearing blonde, and this only makes Tawny even more mad. In the B plot, Nico and Grady, and now Zora, she wasn't in the first part, are trying to figure out what's been going on with Sonny, how she got away with it. But more importantly, like, they kind of believe she's innocent now. They realize that the only person that's really suspicious is Tawny. Yeah, Tawny has been upset with her for hogging the spotlight for so long, so of course, there's gotta be an issue with her. And not only that, there's apparently a bomb in the cheese ball that she's been carrying around. Oh my gosh.
If we've got the real cheese ball, that means Sonny's got the
bomb! This book is the bomb!
Meanwhile, Sonny and Tawny are on this little road trip when their car breaks down, and this guy is like helping them fix it. He's like, this is a flat tire. I don't know why, his jokes are really funny. And they cannot afford to help fix it, so they challenge him to a comedy off at this local bar. And it's actually really cool because you're bringing in the skills that Sonny actually had to get onto So Random in this moment. Not only are we looking back on the nostalgia of her like life 1 year before she like had to go to So Random, but like it's all like coming together. It shows that like her life is like a full circle moment. I almost feel like this would have served as a really good finale. So Chad teams up with Zora, Grady, and Nico to find Tawny and make sure that this bomb does not go off. And it's kind of crazy seeing them team up, but I love stuff like that. That's when it gets really intense. And I like the pacing of this all. Like, we're getting so far out of the studio at this point, which is totally justified for a 2-part special. Like, you have to raise the stakes, don't you? So they're on a plane trying to get to Wisconsin, Chad's private plane. And this is really cool because I like seeing them actually advocate for their friend Sonny. Like, it feels like a heroic chase to this Wisconsin fair. I like that that's going. We learned that Penelope is actually driving the plane and that all along she was the one that framed Sonny for all these things that made her seem like a bad person. And wow, this is kind of intense. We actually see all the moments that she rigged in the first part, and it does such a good job at like being a full circle moment that it's like, of course it's her. So then finally, the Tween Weekly reporter is the first one to the homecoming ceremony in Wisconsin. You know, like they're about to shoot the cheese wheel and everything, and it's like, why is he going that far? Then Sonny and Tawny are pulled over only to be interrupted by Nico, Grady, Zora, and Chad trying to save the day. Then the final scene, we're at Sonny's homecoming event with Vicky Sikowitz being the new MC. And Sonny just goes up to the mic trying to clear her name. And it works. The girl's Vicky Sikowitz actually comes out and says, yeah, it's not true. Like, I was just lying. And it's like, oh, okay. And it feels all like an episode of Mackenzie Falls. That's what I like the most about this special. Like, they make it so dramatic for no reason.
I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for these comfortable shoes.
Come on, let's go.
And the reporter's like, I knew this all along. So they come out on top by the end. Sonny puts the cheese ball into the cannon and it hits the reporter, having like a really satisfying ending when I'm just like, how did everybody get to Wisconsin and how is everybody gonna get home? That's my main concern. All around, it's so fun to have such a thrilling end to these episodes. If anything, I'm more worried about what I'm gonna do with the second half of these episodes from season 2. Like, these are the final 13 episodes of Sonny with a Chance, and they get a little bit more random from here. I can't wait to dive into them with you guys, but in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Like, what did you guys remember about these set of episodes? Did you like them? Did you remember how rude they were to Sonny? Please let me know in your comments below, and thank you guys again for supporting Johnny 2000. It means the world to me to be able to go through all these old 2000s content with you and like just be nostalgic. I don't know, I feel like that's what makes life worth living. So yeah, until next time everybody, this is Johnny 2000 and have a great day.